Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Protection Review 2024, once again here at the wonderful Landmark Hotel. It's been a busy year for the life and health insurance industry. Sales are up a bit or down a bit, depending on where you look. We've lost a few insurers, but gained an FCA market review. Talk about losing a few safety nets and gaining some red tape. Now, that punchline, which I don't mean in case the regulator's here, was taken from ChatGPT yesterday. And let it be a warning to anyone using too much AI in their marketing. Now, more seriously, there's been some brilliant work across the sector, including Amy's Protection Viewpoint, IPAW, CI Experts Critical Thinking Report, some great new products and processes, and as always, some brilliant coverage and events by our trade press. Perhaps most importantly, based on feedback from across the market, insurer service levels seem to be picking up again, which is incredibly important given last week's statement from the regulator. Also in the news last week, a report found that the UK has the worst life expectancy in Western Europe. I really wanted to see a subheading that says, but has cheapest life cover. Didn't happen, funny enough. It did make me think about inflation, however, where the product stays the same and the price goes up. We're all used to that, aren't we? Or shrinkflation, where the price stays the same, but the product gets smaller or inferior in some way. Because then we have protection, where arguably the product gets better, we add more conditions, we add more services, we pay more claims, and the price stays the same, or actually goes down still in many areas. And it doesn't start going up again once you buy it. I'm not sure there's an economic term for that. I've asked insurers and reinsurers and economists, and I'm none the wiser. Someone can tell me at lunch. I tried to think of another market where this happens, and there might be many, but the only one I can think of was TVs. The product gets a bit better, the price gets a bit cheaper, kind of. On average, we live longer, so maybe life cover should get cheaper. But my question to everyone is this. Given inflation, given cost of living concerns, do we do enough as an industry to tell the public that the price doesn't go up once you buy? That didn't matter when inflation was next to nothing. But in inflationary terms, I don't think we make enough of a big deal of it. Everything's going up. We sit here not telling anyone that the price is fixed. Okay, it's in the small print of page 27 of a document no one reads, but you know what I mean. When I talk about sales being up a bit and being down a bit, this is kind of what I mean. This is a slide that came out a couple of weeks ago from Gen Re. The first quarter this year, a little bit challenging, but Q2 and Q3 are more comparable, and we hope for Q4 and Q1. And then we have this slide from iPipeline, showing a slightly more positive picture year on year, with IP sales showing the most growth. And on that FCA market review, it's not a surprise. It's not a surprise to me anyway. For those of you at the cover event this time last year, the FCA stood on stage and said, we like XYZ. We don't like ABC. Don't make us come and fix your problems. Well, nothing changed. A year in the regulator's eyes is a long time, so here they are. But I think the industry is generally quite positive, and for good reason. We do a lot of good work for society that ultimately sees 98% of claims paid and 7 billion and rising paid out to families, often when they need it most. There are, however, areas to improve, where consumer outcomes are sometimes far from ideal. At last year's event, based on feedback from the industry and from advisors, we gave a word of caution for insurers to be careful about launching too many new products or marketing campaigns without fixing the service first, which was addressed somewhat directly by the regulator last week. And on the distribution side, There are some situations where the outcome is frankly abhorrent. I refer in particular to those bad actors, shall we say, who contact existing policyholders, who have disclosed health issues, and have policies that will pay out if needed. They are then told there is no need to disclose those health issues. They're too old, you don't need to worry. And you can save money by switching. The new application is lying, and the policy may never pay out. So for that reason alone, the regulator is right to come and take a look, but the industry is right to be positive. But we must work together to remove such behaviours, no matter how rare they may be, for good. I also recently wrote about my own experience buying life cover, or trying to. 4 months and counting to the day, waiting for a GP report to come back. So advisors, and speaking as an ex-advisor, I do feel your pain. I really do. It's not fun. The NHS has more important things to do, but it's a challenge nonetheless, one that hasn't really changed for 20 or 30 years. This morning then, in just a few moments, we're going to talk about the perfection gap, not the protection gap, but the perfection gap. After coffee, we'll talk about diversity and exclusion, and in the afternoon's Protect Text Live, 7 speakers, 7 minutes each, very fast moving, covering different topics. So again, let me thank you all for being here today. Protection Review is literally a bit like a family business, and it does mean a lot to us that you are here and that you've made the effort. Our events are all about encouraging people to think that little bit differently, and that's what we hope to achieve today. The spark of an idea, a new way of thinking, a challenge to the current way of doing something. A common criticism of these events across the industry is that sometimes they can be talking shops without any tangible solutions. Do you know what? I hear you. I've been coming to these for 30 years. And to an extent, that point is very true. But all events, to an extent, are bound by competition rules. We cannot, for example, discuss pricing or product strategies in such detail that could be considered cooperative or collusion by any attendees. That's just tough. We can't do it. And that stands for all events. What we want to achieve at Protection Review is to be a trigger for the solution, which we aim to do by hosting events with challenging topics and expert speakers, with no salesy or advertorial presentations. We are confident that everyone will be aware of the importance of competition law, and if anyone feels we're not following the rules, please do let us know. Now, next year will be busy for us. We have 4 events, 1 in each quarter. Protect Text 9, that's the online one with 7 speakers. That's due for Thursday, April the 3rd. In Q2, we'll have our Protect Z event back, where all 15 speakers are under 30. If you are under 30 and you want to speak, come and talk to us. If you know anyone that's under 30 and you think you'd be a really good speaker, come and tell us. Q3 will be our Young Achiever Academy. That's a private event, and the only way to get invited is to get shortlisted for our Young Achiever Award, either tonight or in the previous years. And in Q4, back here for the conference and awards. All right, thank you. Into session 1, the perfection gap. Somebody once said, I've seen it in films, I've read it in books, perfect is the enemy of good. And in our industry, if something isn't perfect, somebody, somewhere, criticises it. Yep, me, usually. I've done that a few times. Hands up if you've done it yourself, maybe in your own heads. Many of us in the room have done the same, especially those pesky advisors. Don't they? Keep criticising what you lovely insurers do. Oh, and insurers do it as well, don't they? Because they're up and down the country all criticising each other. Oh, and then there's some consumer journalists, because they sometimes never get it quite right, and so on. On the one hand, I think this is really good, because I believe it means we self-police our industry really well. If we don't like something, it gets called out, and there is no collusion to hide any inferior products or bad practices. But can it come at a price in terms of innovation, growth, and customer outcomes? To advisors and more importantly customers, we do sometimes look a bit like a confused industry, full of infighting and disagreement, often over minutiae details that they don't care about and have never heard about. We've all done it. Dead happy? Virgin cancer cover? Who remembers that one? All it covered was cancer. Good idea or not? Oh my God, it's got 500 conditions. I'm never selling that. Oh my God, it's only got 2 conditions. I'm never selling that. It doesn't cover squiggly worm disease. I'm never selling that. It might be the best product in the history of mankind, but it hasn't got an 8-week deferred period, so it's not going on our panel. And it's not just advisors and networks. Insurers are often friendly behind the scenes and at industry events, but too many broker consultants criticise their rivals up and down the country, so we are told. And might this, directly or otherwise, have a bigger impact? May it also put off other types of advisor? Is it one of the reasons why advisors don't want to sell protection? You can all do all the research you like about why other advisors don't do protection. They're never going to tell you the truth. The research is pointless. They're not going to put the honest answers. It's counterproductive. And does it stop other industries from engaging better with our market? Could we make it easier? There are quite possibly generational differences too. There's the old school 80s, 90s sales mentality. But modern, younger thinking, I think is a bit different. Last year on this stage, we talked about whether our industry focuses on competitors more than customers. So might things be a bit better for customers? And might sales be a bit higher if we accept that good is okay? If we are more open to new ideas? If we don't just read a headline and jump on LinkedIn and start criticising it without reading the details or the report? And if we were a little bit more collaborative and praiseworthy of each other? If we keep criticising, does it put people off? That's the debate we're having this morning.